All right, so we'll start. Today I want to talk like really briefly. I want to try to keep it under 30 minutes about unit tests. So we're not going to talk about why it's needed and how awesome it is to unit test the code. Like tons of Wikipedia articles out there. We'll talk about particular like really quick introduction into how to start with unit tests and like what tools we chose to use, and that's pretty much it. So to begin with, I have like really basic project set up here, and it's all it does, it runs in simulator, hopefully. It does. Okay, and it calculates the sum of numbers, which is done through the simple class. Do you see anything?
That's
yeah, that's it. So, is it big enough now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have like a really simple class that has a method sum number with number. Okay, and it spits out the result in console. So this code is great, but we really want to test it, and to do so, we want to add like unit test target to the Xcode. Now they made it really much simpler. So assuming that you have target under your project, you hit plus, and this thing drops down. Normally we don't have more than one target in the project unless we like develop for Macintosh and we want to have some sort of sub dependencies, or we build like a framework for iOS. Here we need to choose CocoaTouch unit testing bundle, and we need to give it a name, whatever you want. I suggest not to have spaces because in continuous integration, not all the tools work great with spaces. Jenkins, for example, fucks it up pretty well. So we do that, then type. You have a choice of two frameworks, like unit testing frameworks that Apple provides, and normally people go with XCTest just because it's the newer one, and all the modern tools, they are based off of this framework, so you want to really have it this way. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I forgot to remove this stuff, it's from the old project. Anyway, so as you can see, we have a new folder on the left, which is called test, like it's called the same as my target, which is conveniently duplicates the name test. Anyway, and the default implementation of this thing is like a skeleton for the test. So as any test, it has a setup phase, teardown phase, and one test example that fails by default. So what it does, basically, it allows you to tap into the setup process and to run all the code that needs to be run only once for the set of tests. Also, like if you need to disassemble some pieces of code later on, you will have it. You will have opportunity in teardown. To make sure that you run tests, you can click and hold on the play button and click tests. It will build, it will run the test, and as you can see, it fails. It fails because that's the default implementation, and it says so, like no implementation for this particular test. So that's good. That means that we already have test target set up.
Can you scroll right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, it's just like a log statement that says no implementation for test. So
no, the setup and the teardown, I want to know where it is being invoked.
So setup being invoked by the framework.
Okay, before each test or once?
No. So setup being invoked before all the tests. Teardown being invoked one after all the tests in this particular class. Okay, but it's not really important because in a minute we'll remove this file and rewrite it, as we love to do. So again, like some things to look for if you have any problems with running this stuff. First of all, go into product. I remember shortcuts. I don't remember the name. So it's product scheme edit scheme. Okay, and you have like a set of schemes on the left. Okay, you have test. So as you can see here, we have two test schemes. And one of them was the one that whenever you create a new project, you will have this default scheme next to your testing target next to your target. I removed it before because I wanted to show you like how to create it from scratch. But as you can see, although I removed it, it is still here. I saw that Jenkins fails to run tests when it has it here. So this little minus on the bottom helps you to get rid of the stuff. If you have several test targets which you might need eventually down the road, here you will be able to see all of them and to manage with this checkbox. You will be able to manage which ones to run when you hit this test button or Command U, like shortcut. Also, like Xcode provides you ability to pre-package your application with some sort of data that you want to. So that's something that you can choose here. So you can have some sort of local caches set up, I don't know, some testing data set up. Also, you can have location data. Like if your application runs in simulator, you still can have location data. You can have GPS tracks, like whatever you want. That's something that you need to set up here. What is important is to pay attention to build configuration. In this case, it is debug. Sadly enough, I didn't have enough time to look at it, but I couldn't find a way to run tests in release configuration, which would be much more interesting because that's closer to production cases. Okay, so sadly I couldn't find a way. I'm not sure. I haven't looked enough. Okay, so those are the things that you need to take care of before you start, and that's pretty much it. At this point, we will remove test. Okay. So to add another test, if you decide to stick with the built-in testing framework, you go to the new file, the regular thing, and here you have Objective-C test case class. Okay. So the base class is test case, XC test case, and you create whatever name. And the thing is that you need to pay attention to the targets all the time. From now on, you need to know if you write in the test, you need to add it to the test target. If you write in like a regular class, add it to your application target with these checkboxes. That's something that Xcode normally gets on its own. As you can see, it creates only .m file. So the way it works, as far as I understand, it goes during the runtime, it enumerates all the subclasses of XC test case, and it just pulls them into the test environment. So you cannot be guaranteed that a particular order of execution of the tests. Don't rely on that. Like normally you don't rely on that. You group tests per file in a meaningful way. Okay, so what if we don't want to use this particular framework if it's not suitable for us? We can use something called Spectre and Expector. And in this case, I previously downloaded this template for Spectre, so it's another testing framework, and it's highly modular. It has tons of advantages over the built-in one. So it asks you want to write spec for and blanks. So I will write the class calculator. Okay, this guy. So it creates a bit differently looking class. But it has like tons of macros, so if you will look at the pre-processed code, you will see that it still has the same XC test cases and all this nonsense. It doesn't know that I'm using pods, so I will write it in this way. Okay, and it still doesn't know that that it's there. Cannot find Spectre. Lovely. Okay, anyway, I think it's going to be fine. So, if anyone worked with Ruby with RSpecs, this syntax should be pretty familiar. The difference here is that you get more flexibility and you get more kind of syntactic kind of niceness. So, for example, question that Sagi asked was, is it something that we run before all tests? Is it something that we run before each test? So here you can specify, as you can see these blocks, you can specify code that has been run before all the tests, before each test. Then you can have really nice grouping of describe. I don't know why, but Xcode doesn't pick up my codes. You can have a grouping of describe, let's say, calculator operations. Okay, so it provides some sort of like grouping of several tests, like logical group, and then you want to provide a particular test. So it should, I don't know, some add numbers in the correct way. I don't know. Okay, so and as you can see, it relies heavily on the blocks. So inside of the block, you want to provide an actual test. And for now, I just want to run it and to see that it's failed. Okay, so to be honest, I don't know why did it fail. I'm using the workspace, I installed the pods. All should be nice. It's there. Okay. I don't know why is it doing it to me. Okay, anyway, let's pretend that it works. Okay, so also another thing that I'm using in the code.
Like, maybe go back to the way it was before you changed it, because it seemed to be
No, it wasn't working as well. No, anyway, it's fine. I just wanted to show syntax more than anything. So another thing that I have in my pods. Where is the pod file? Okay, this guy. Maybe it's because I didn't provide target. So here in pods we do like test targets. Oh, I don't know if I remember the syntax correctly. Is this the one? Okay, let's hope that it's going to install it fine. Okay, so another thing that I put in the... Okay. Another thing that I have in my pod is Expector. Ah, it worked. Okay, Expector is this framework that allows you to build nice assertions instead of clunky build one when you just like assert, I don't know, something equal. So here you rather provide meaningful kind of things such as, oh, I need to define shorthands. Okay, this guy. Okay, so with that, expect. Okay, expect, and then we write what we actually want to get from particular test. So in our case, let's say that we have our calculator instance. Okay, and I'm writing new, although I'm not a big fan of this thing, but whatever. Okay, so here we write that I don't know. We expect that 10 plus I don't know 12 equal. And here we provide a result that we expected to get, okay? So in this case, we provide this result. So it all looks nice, and it seems to be fine. Let's run it. We run tests. So it runs a test, and as you can see, it still has to run simulator, and then like it quits, and it's supposed to report on this tab on the left. You can see the only test that we have. And it's somewhat horribly looking line that says calculate operation should add number in the correct way. So as you can see, it just concatenated. Where's the spec? Okay, so as you can see, it just concatenated describe plus particular test case with underscores. So we don't get like all the niceness of this in this left sidebar. We don't get all the niceness of the built-in XCTest framework, but we get like much nicer syntax that's more expressive. So in this case, for example, if we want to test the same instance of the calculator, we can do it this way. Cal equals this guy. Okay, so from now on we'll just reuse this instance, and it will be instance that is created once for this test, and then we write the next test. Let's say should add negative numbers correctly. Okay, and we provide another test which is pretty much similar. We expect, let's call some number like -10 with -12 equal -22. Okay, we run the test, and as we can see, the test fails. Okay, and we get this exception kind of like warning, like error thing that says expected -22 God knows what. Okay, so this is how failed test looks like. This is what it looks like. And to investigate like why it happens, we go obviously in the implementation, and we can see that like I'm just assuming that I'm getting unsigned integer, so my manipulations are not correct, and we fix it. We run the test again, and it's all green. Okay, so this is the basic story. I wanted to show you a bit.
Sasha?
Yeah.
Question?
Sure.
Question for the audience. The fact that the both test cases are grouped in the same describe block.
Yeah, that's more of a logical kind of convenience syntactic thing.
But it means that they will always run in sequence.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you enter the test case, okay, if you don't like work too much with asynchronous tests, which I will show you in a second, the order guaranteed. The order is not guaranteed between the files, and if you have several cases grouped in the same file, I'm not sure what it does there. I'm just not sure. But yeah, here you can rely on like that. If you depend on the previous
basically
test.
I think it is something that we shouldn't rely on because
Yeah, I mean, ideally use stateless. Yeah, in the test especially. Yeah, but I mean, here for example, it's you know a bit vague.
It's good and it's nice for maybe for functional tests.
Right, exactly. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Wait.
Yeah, sure.
Can you have like necessary before all and before each?
Why would you nest before all and before each?
Inside the inner describe blocks?
Yeah, I haven't tried it. I think yes.
It helps when you have like groups of tests that are.
I think so. I don't remember. Like that's why I wanted to open the GitHub pages of these guys and show you that basically you have all the all the functions, all the meaningful stuff in the README of both projects. Okay, so you just go in here. It shows you like nice screenshots and all that. Here it shows you like the most you can get out of this framework. So there is this thing called shared example, which I have no idea why they have it. Like I read the description once. I didn't have time to deep dive in it. It's something that like runs with all tests. I'm not sure. I'm like
what it means is that if you have like if you have a different context in which you have like a specific setup, then you can do like these contexts, but you know that you have groups of tests that need to be executed in each context. The same test, but every time the setup will be different. And so
okay,
the test will actually be different because...
I think I actually needed it once and I ended up writing duplicated codes. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, like
so
if you want to have, I don't know, maybe even with a calculator, like you can do a describe block for negative numbers and a describe for positive numbers, and then do adds test, adds numbers. But it will be the same test, right? For like adding numbers.
Adding numbers just with different setup. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much the case that I was looking for. Okay, that's cool. So as you can see, they have they have described then before all, before each, pending. Don't know what it is. Like we should look into that. Then you have after all, after each to kind of to destroy your stuff. So it has one really nice thing, which is async block. Okay, and what you do with it is that that's where built-in framework kind of fell short. You might have tests with let's say it should fetch result from network. If we have like I don't know some sort of distributed calculations going over the wire, so you have this guy, and the only difference from another block is that I put this async block before the declaration. You do your networking or whatever like async stuff in here, and in the end you just call done. Okay, so that signals to the Spectre that your test is done, and by now it should pretty much have some sort of assertion failure, or it will be considered success. So that's like a really convenient way to test your asynchronous code. That's pretty much it. It has like tons of integration with tons of different projects, so it's modular. It's the only purpose of Spectre is to provide you like infrastructure for the tests. So it doesn't do assertions, it doesn't do mocking, it doesn't do anything. Okay, that's one. Spectre, the one that we saw, it's like really brilliant framework that provides you kind of declarative expectations, and you can read through like tons of matchers that they have. Don't forget to put those brackets in the end, because like first time I wrote tests without those brackets, and it always kind of evaluates to true because it doesn't call assertion really. So don't forget that. It has tons of different like assertions, like is this object contained within the set, is this string is empty, does it have like whatever prefixes, is it like instance of the class. Just read through it, make sure that you can write your own I forget the name, matchers. You can write your own matchers. I've done it, it's not that hard, but first make sure that there is nothing like that built in, because most likely they got your case covered.
No, if you have your own model object and you want to compare to model objects, so
they have equality, and you implement as equal, so you don't need to write your.
But what if you don't want to do it equal, or you want to?
Yeah, I mean you can do that, but again, you might be you probably will be explicit in this case, and will not create your matcher. Instead, you will probably write the code in place, so everyone who comes to see this test, they will know, okay, this is what he expects, not like. I don't know, maybe. One thing that is really nice is this, okay? That's in addition to asynchronous thing from expector is expect will, okay? So whenever you add this little will in between, so here, for example, we could have written will, okay, without parentheses. But you write will, and basically it will put a default timeout of 10 seconds before it will consider assertion failed. So if you have some sort of delayed effect to your call, you can easily do that. By the way, another nice thing, expect takes obviously an expression the way I wrote it down here, but it also can have this kind of style, okay, and will notify, and you pass, like, for example, UI application did receive memory warning. So for example, you do some sort of like really intense code in here, and you expect this to trigger like memory warning on the system. So this code will fail. You will not need the done code and async block, obviously. This code will fail in 10 seconds if there's going to be no notification dispatched, okay? So it executes the code in the block, in here, and then it just waits for 10 seconds and listens was there notification of this particular type. In this particular type of notification, obviously you can have, I don't think equal is going to work in this case. I guess it doesn't make much sense, like you have equality to nothing because it's blocked, so, no, it's actually... Yeah, if you return value and it took you 10 seconds to return the value, and again, it's going to be synchronous, so this wheel is not going to do anything. So whatever, it's mix and match basically. So make sure to look into what they provide. It's really nice. Okay, now we'll switch. I mean, this test project is clearly exhausted itself. Now we'll show you a bit from our setup. So as you can see in our setup, we have 3 targets. We have unit tests, functional tests, and integration tests. Look up Wikipedia what is what, and again, it's kind of like free phrasing, it's not really by definition. Basically, unit test is a really simple test that involves only one piece of functionality, the same that we wrote just now with the calculator. Functional test is something that doesn't rely on any external networking and basically just checks that things scroll the way they should, tab the way they should, whatever, like, things navigate where they should navigate. Integration test is the one that involves both server side and the client side, so it checks that the whole system clicks together. We separated them in 3 phases because we stub and mock things in a different way from one target to another. So integration test does not expect anything to be stubbed at all. Functional test kind of expects things to be stubbed. Unit test doesn't care about network at all. So these kind of things, you want to make sure that you have them split, and you can, in theory, you can run them separately. When you go into your test targets, again, what I said, that you can disable things that you want to run, so next time you hit Command U, you won't run all of them, you will run on the ones that you want. Meanwhile, I want to stress this guy. It's a thing by Facebook called XCTool, and that's invaluable thing to run tests on the server side because it provides a flexibility at the moment, it's more flexibility than the built-in Xcode build tool. That became much better, so part of the things that they say in README, like bad things about Xcode build, are not true, so, but still, it provides you more flexibility. Okay, coming back to the tests. Here, tests. So, with tests, what I wanted to show... Okay, another thing, last thing probably, is Kif, this guy. Okay, so Kif is what we use for functional tests. And it's nice in a way that it allows you to write code when they skip all the installation tutorial. Okay, it allows you to write code. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, code in a way. This is my text field. Enter this text, tap this thing, and wait for a button with title, whatever, appear on the screen. So it's really, really awesome when you want to make sure that your application. You tapped on, I don't know, on about, and you actually see the about. Because you will be surprised how many times like we fuck this up by writing like additional code. So this is a really good framework for that. It here, as you can see, it builds into the exit test case, but it as well it builds into Spectre or any other framework that you might want to choose. The last piece of puzzle, and I'm still like not 100% certain with it, but I really like it so far, is the way to mock things, okay? So this is the port of an existing solution from Java, God knows where, that basically allows you to mock and stab things. Most of the time, when you write tests, you want to be focused on just one particular thing that you actually test, and you don't care about like all the environments around you, because you cannot test the whole application at once. It's impossible, sadly. So for that, you want to create, you want to mock things. You want to, like, for example, this particular piece of code says that we want to create something that like smells like array and behaves like array, but not an actual array. And we want to call several methods on it, and then we want to actually verify that this method's being called. Or, for example, we want to stab things. I will show you an example. We have store spec, okay? And this is the guy that actually checks that we have store, we have deals that are attached to the store, okay? And we actually want to check that when we add two deals with different priority, let's say, one of them is always being picked over another due to its priority, okay? So, but I don't care at this moment, like, if deal behaves correctly or not. It's none of my concern by now. I'm sure that some other guy will write a test to check that. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating the mock object of the deal class, and I tell to the framework, I want this object that is not actually deal, but like some sort of mock. I want it to return this value when this particular property is being called, okay? And that's it. I mean, after that, I actually do the test that I want to do. So I put both deals in the store, and I expect store to return the correct deal when it's being asked about whatever. But again, the point of this whole story is to isolate the subject of the test and to make sure that everything like all the other pieces of puzzle behave like smoothly, okay? One thing to keep in mind, this thing, stub property, is not something that you can find on the original repo just yet. It's something that I wrote in addition because and as predicate and as sort descriptors, they don't behave nicely with. Anyway, you will run into this. You will find it useful. What else? Here's an example of Kif that we wrote. That we have in our project. So here's pretty simple. We have the menu on the screen. I'm waiting for this menu to be presented on the screen, and I just check that it has all the required values. Finally, integration test here. So the first bug that I actually personally made sure that it's in the App Store, the bug was that the build was pointing to the wrong environment. So to avoid that, I wrote the test that actually checks that it never happens again. So as you can see here, I'm making use of the async block. So I'm making this call on the server side, and I'm getting back the response that says you're running against like A, okay? And I'm checking that I'm running against the expected environment. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I really wanted to keep it short and to the point. If you have any questions or suggestions or any other things that you want to mention, yes.
Do you still use Reactive Cocoa?
We do, although we've found tremendous performance issues whenever it comes to high performance UI code. So we're trying to avoid it when it's like table views and collection views.
Didn't get to test.
No. Luckily, we did not get to test that, but we'll get there. It's a bit tricky to test, although I've seen on...
It has like kind of business support for testing.
Oh, cool. Okay. I've seen a video like several months ago on testing Reactive Cocoa when they like had an application written without it. They put the Reactive Cocoa and they replaced the test to reflect that, and it took them like 20 minutes. So it's like it seems like an easy kind of thing to do. We just haven't got to that.
With the async support, it should be easy enough.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the only thing to think about is that Reactive Cocoa leverages key value observing key value for key path, all these things. So mocking solutions normally do not go that deep. They just if you call dot property on an object, that's what they will mock. They won't go as low as value for key path and value for key. So that's something that I took care of by that stub property thing. So it like stabs all the steps. That might be an issue with Reactive Cocoa because it leverages the same techniques. Yeah, that is that. Okay, so the last part that we integrate that into Jenkins and it all runs smoothly. We've seen some sort of issues when several builds being run at the same time because sadly enough tests need to be run in the simulator and there is only one simulator per a time can be launched. I actually looked into simulator like why is that, and the issue is that it actually allocates frame buffer linked to the simulator and there is just one guy who emits these frames at a time, so like there is a way to I need to be like way smarter to hack that. Although guys at Facebook seem to figure this out, so it must be possible. I'm just not smart enough.
Maybe use like different users. I think in the Mac it works.
Yeah, you definitely can use different users. I don't want to create like if I want to run like 5 tests in parallel. I don't want to create 5 users. Like you can run like virtual machines. It's not as fun as to run 5 simulators still on site. So yeah, that is it. Questions, concerns? Awesome. Thank you.